Okay, this is great. This is the cover of Grant Cameron's new book, Contact Modalities, The Keys to the Universe, in which Grant has done so much work. And I really wanted to talk to him, and I know this is rushed, but this is the book that I've been waiting for a long time, Grant, because the ETs, whoever they may be, are not speaking in English, Chinese, Italian, and all that. There are different modalities for contact, and you've been awaiting a long time to do this kind of work.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time coming for us as well. Des and I have been working on this book for probably a couple of years, and you are right that the ETs are, if they wanted to land and tell us what's going on, they would directly tell us what's going on. But what they have done, according to what I think, is they have gone through different types of people, different types of modalities, and in a lot of ways what they're doing is sort of indirect, where they're giving you the message, they're making us think. And so what we did in the book is we sort of set up a scenario where we said, there's a lot of different people who are in contact with a lot of different, I guess you'd call it higher consciousness. And I guess I got to clarify that first. What people think is that we have a bunch of nouns. So we have consciousness, we have material stuff, we have levels, we have colors. And what I would say is, no, we don't have any of that. We don't have, all we have is one thing. It's all consciousness. Everything is made out of consciousness. There is no, I think Jacques Vallée said to you, you know, this idea that it is not solid. It is not the world you think it is. Matter, according to me, is just very densely low vibrating consciousness, and that people at some point are able to get out of the left brain. And that's what the whole book, I think, according to me, is based upon the fact that if you're able to shut down your rational analytical left brain, you're able to make contact with beings, with angels, with all sorts of consciousness. But all the consciousness is still the same thing. So it's, the analogy would be the ocean. So we're at the deep, dark part of the ocean. We're totally clued out. We don't know what's going on. And at some point, you're able to shut down this rational analytical part of your brain, and suddenly you float up sort of higher into the water. And the higher you get in the water, the less dark it becomes, the more light it becomes, and the more you can see. And so some people who have contact with beings are able to sort of float up out of the darkness. They're able to make contact, get messages, and then they float back down and they say, guess what I saw? And everybody goes, no, you didn't see that. No, that's not true. You just made that up. And so that's what I say. It's all consciousness. There is no time. There is no space. There may not even be an out there, which is one of the things that a lot of people who have near-death experiences talk about, that that's what they're told. There's no out there. It's all within ourselves. And I think Stephen Greer even has a thing where he talks about the universe is folded within each of us. There's only one thing. There's one electron. There's just one thing. It's not like separate objects in space that are interacting with each other. And so the whole modality idea was to find these people who are able to make the contact and then listen to them. And what we've done in the UFO world is we've basically gone to sightings. So we say, oh, what color is it? How fast is it going? How many are there? Where are they? All this sort of stuff. And we have totally ignored the contactees, the people who are interacting with the phenomena. So somebody will come up, Adamski will come up, or people starting in the 1950s said, they told me this, they told me that, and they go, it's just anecdotal. You can't believe it. You can't prove it, whatever. And we want scientific stuff. We want analysis. We want photos. We want all this kind of stuff. And so what's happened is that the people who have the message from the intelligence behind the UFO phenomena have been totally ignored. And I say, until you listen to the people who are actually interacting with the phenomena, you are totally wasting your time, because you can look at all the sightings you want. You can look at all the photographs you want, all the videos you want. You can look at all that kind of stuff. All that's going to tell you is, yeah, something's going on. And it probably isn't us. It's probably not us flying around. But other than that, you really cannot tell who they are, why they're here, what the message is, because you can't tell that by watching something fly around in the sky.
No, you can't. And the thing that's very interesting is there's different modalities. For instance, when I was having the experience with Ricardo Gonzalez, my phone was auto dialing somebody else. And
Yeah.
I was not doing that. And that phone was auto dialing me when it decided to auto dial me. And the thing is that all that served is to get our attention.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things that are happening, which are like bizarre things, if you want to address this, is just to get your attention.
Yeah, I call it the theory of wow. I may even do a book on that eventually. And that's where I say, if you're an advanced non-human intelligence and you want to interact with beings who aren't really paying attention, what you want to do is, instead of coming down and saying, okay, we're here to, as my expression is, we're here to bring you freedom and democracy, Jesus and McDonald's, and everybody goes, get out of here, like, leave me alone. And so what they do is they do this, what I call the theory of wow. And it's almost like if you have a school and the grade 1 kids, they say, how would you interact with these people on earth? They're not listening. They're off doing their own thing. And the kids say, well, let's put objects down there and let's fly them around and put lights on them and all different colors of lights. And they go, okay, so that's what they do. And then you put crop circles. Why would you do a crop circle? That's like the grade 2 class. We're going to put down these crop circles. And it's not a message. We want a message where they land on the White House lawn and they speak English and they spell out what they're going to do. They're doing it indirectly through very weird things. Because when your cell phone rings, and I've had this too happen as well, a lot of people have had this experience, it's so bizarre that you go, wow, how did that happen? And it drags you down the rabbit hole. You can't avoid it. And so I think in a lot of ways they're doing this. Or you take the example of the Phoenix Lights. Why would you take a craft that is a mile across and fly it 100 feet over the ground over Phoenix, Arizona? I mean, that's just to say, wow, look at this. Or if you take the latest obsession with the UFO community is the Nimitz sighting. So they say, oh, the Nimitz sighting and this and that. And Jacques Vallée says, the Nimitz was just a UFO sighting 15 years ago. It's time to get over it. And that is all it was. It was a UFO sighting. So you have the object, according to the reports, the object sat there for a week. It was hovering in this spot for a week until they finally went and chased it. And they're going, hello, we're over here. Zogar, turn the lights on. They can't see us. Turn the lights on. And then finally they go and they make the chase. And then they do that big movement. You heard the movement. They're at 80,000 feet and they drop down to sea level in 7/8 of a second. Now, what is that? Is that the pre-abduction maneuver, or is that like, what are they doing? Why would you drop so fast down to the ocean? Because they're saying, watch this. And the thing goes down and goes, holy cow. And then it's almost like then the jets are coming back again and they say, oh, Zogar, go under the water and make big bubbles under the water. And so the craft goes under and makes these bubbles and they go, look at the water. Look at it. It looks like something's sinking. And the story is now being told by everybody. Everybody keeps telling this story about these things. But in the end, it's just a UFO sighting. It's the same as the sighting I had or the sightings that you've had or and I say you've got to go past that to sightings like you had where you're actually standing 20 yards from an ET and you can actually see him and he's actually putting messages to the people in the Zendra. Those are the things you've got to get, because the sighting stuff is very interesting, but it's just to get our attention to let us know the fact. I think there was even an expression that Jacques Vallée apparently had said, I haven't heard him quoted, but it said, it may just be a giant kabuki theater, and the only message is we aren't alone. And that they're using all these different things, and they're just getting our attention, they're dragging us down, and once they've got your attention, then it's like, you know what it's like. Once you're down the UFO rabbit hole, you can't get out. I mean, you just, and the weird things keep happening and you keep chasing it. And eventually they get us to go. Instead of coming to us and saying, this is the way it is, they make us figure it out. We're sitting there, we're trying to put the pieces together. Exactly. And when we put the pieces together, then nothing's going to change our mind because we are the ones that put it together.
Exactly. And it's more fun that way because then we figure it out and it's like one big puzzle and it doesn't have to have any meaning. It's just, I can't even name the things, the coincidences I've had, especially this last year. And people say, oh, it's synchronicity and coincidences. No, we're interacting with something that we don't know what it is that is saying, okay, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
You're on the right path. This is the way we communicate with you. We're not going to write you a letter. We're not going to talk to you face to face. But then all at once, you have a coincidence and you're going, oh, how did that happen? Well, you just plugged in. You plugged into the water. I love that metaphor because consciousness is that water and half the fish in there don't know they're conscious.
Yeah, they're down in the depths of the water. That's why I say, so what I say is there's different levels. So if you have like a medium or a contactee, you have, it's almost like you have people who can play music, and then you have musicians. So some people are able to get a little bit higher in the water and see a little bit more. Some people are actually able to get almost to the surface where the light is right there. It's almost like the near-death experience, where if you see the survey of people who are contactees who claim they've had intelligence contact, 40% of them say at one point during their experience, they knew the answer to everything in the universe. And I'm going like, why would you not talk to these people? I mean, they knew the answer at one point to everything in the universe. Why would you not talk to them? And those are people who are able to, like real musicians, like protege, you know, real high level musicians who are able to get really high up. So I would say that just because you're, say, a medium or a channeler or whatever, doesn't mean you're at the same level as everybody else. You can get people like Ricardo Gonzalez who are higher up than just an average person. They've got a better ability to shut down. And we do the shutdown by meditation, or we do it through being in a circle, like when Ricardo does the circle. What we're doing in the circle is we're raising vibration. So you do the mantras and you're raising your vibration, your consciousness up. They're bringing their consciousness down, and you meet in between. If you don't do the mantras, if you don't raise the consciousness, nothing's going to happen. The same thing happens when you see the people who are doing seances. It's the same thing. They do the singing, they do all this kind of stuff, and they said they can tell when there's going to be a contact, when there's not going to be a contact. There's these protocols that you've got to realize that you have to get the conscious analytical brain out of the way. We got to get us out of the way, almost like the healer. What you want to do is get the healer out of the way so the energy can flow through. You want to get the person out of the way, because what the left brain is doing is creating huge amounts of noise. And it's the ability through meditation, through getting yourself out of the equation, to quiet that left brain and to pick up the signal. And the signal is there for everybody. And you can see with savants, with very high level contactees, that they are able to shut that whole thing and really get a really good signal, where the majority of us have this noise going on, the little voices talking in our heads, and we think, no, there's no signal. No, there's no signal. What is happening is in my head. And so you get that, and then you get this idea of consciousness. That consciousness, it's all consciousness. And so we'll have the thing where we say, okay, there's consciousness put into the body, and the body's not conscious. Animals aren't conscious. Plants aren't conscious. But anybody who's had a near-death experience, or anybody who has done the high-dose psychedelics will tell you, my ego was crushed. That's left brain. Your ego is completely gone. And I suddenly realized everything's alive and conscious. So the whole universe is conscious. The beings are at that high level. So they're high up in the water, and they come down and lower into the water, but we have to raise ourselves up. Because what's happening in the UFO community now is we're just doing the sighting stuff. We're never going to do it. We've done it for 73 years. We will continue to do it for another 73 years, and we'll still be saying, are UFOs real? It's like, get over it. It's like Jacques Vallée said. It's a UFO saying, get over it. Let's move on to the next sighting. UFOs exist. Let's figure out what they're doing here. And that's what you and I and a few other people, there's not that many people who are doing it, who are saying, forget about the sightings, forget about the kind of stuff. Consciousness is the link. And until you get consciousness, you are completely lost. You are never going to figure it out.
Yeah, well,